حلقات العودة بستان يتنزه فيه الوجدان، حلقات تخرج أجيالا تتباهى بهم الأزمان. حلقات العودة بستان يتنزه فيه الوجدان، حلقات تخرج أجيالا تتباهى بهم الأزمان.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين، وبعد. daawadayaal kusoo dhowaada barnaamijkeeni addiinu nasiixa. barnaamijkan addiinu nasiixa waxaan hadba kusoo qaadanaa qodobada aan isu leenahay bulshada u baahan tahay in lagala hadlo ama laga wacyigeliyo. maanta barnaamijkeenu wuxuu ku saabsan yahay shiicada iyo ka hadlideeda, wuxuuna ku bixi doonaa luqadda ingiriiska. Today our topic is about Shiism or Tashayyu'. We're going to ask several questions our guests today about when it started, what are the differences between Shia and Sunnah, are they more dangerous than other sects? All this information and more we would like to know in this program tonight. Our guest, Sheikh Dr Dimashqiah. Welcome, Sheikh.
حياكم الله بارك الله فيكم أهلا وسهلا بكم.
First of all, Sheikh Dr Dimashqiah is one of the scholars who spent his time delivering and conveying the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazahullahu khairan. He graduated in Saudi Arabia University, Mohammed bin Saud University, and he also finished his PhD in Islamic Studies. Sheikh Abdurrahman, based in London and Saudi Riyadh. The first question I'm asking Sheikh today is about, Sheikh, when Shia has started. Did it start because fight of Ali and Muawiyah?
Alhamdulillah wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. First, let me give you a preview about the meaning of the word Shi'ism. The word Shia is in itself indicative to the separation. Indicative to separation. It may mean it means tribal. For example, Allah said about Sayyidina Lut, وَإِنَّ مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيمَ, among his own people, his own tribe, okay, is Ibrahim. But also Allah said, وَلَا تَكُونُوا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ, and do not be of the mushriks. من الذين فرقوا دينهم وكانوا شيعا. Don't be of those mushrik, those who have separated their religion and they became sects. So subhanallah, as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala distant on those people to be checking or picking the name that is negative against them. They call themselves Shia. That means sect, cult. And Allah mentioned to us, don't be of those mushrik people who have separated the religion, فرقوا دينهم, and they were Shia, sects and cults. So the name itself, it gives a title of who are those people. Now the word Shia also means the people who follow someone. For example, the army, we have two armies, okay? So the followers of those two armies, we call the first army, they are Shia for this leader. And the other army, we call them the Shia of that leader. This is linguistic meaning. Now it has nothing to do with religion. That what happened between Ali and Muawiyah. There was a fight that took place between both of them, yes, we agree. Right? We know that. But after that, there was no more fight between them. And when Ali died, radiallahu anhu, he came by himself as being the leader after his father Ali, bringing with him 40,000 soldiers. When Amr ibn al-As, who was with Muawiyah, he saw that army, he said, this is such an army that it doesn't come back, but after it obliges its opponents, its enemy, to run away. That means the army was big. So Muawiyah said to Amr ibn al-As, call him for reconciliation. Offer him. Then Al-Hasan radiallahu anhu, he said, there is no way, if there's any way of reconciliation, I'm not going to spare it today. Because this ummah have been drowned with its blood. So both, they were ready to make peace. And they made peace. And Al-Hasan radiallahu anhu was described by his grandfather, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that this grandson of mine is Sayyid. Why? He said, because Allah will reconcile by him between the two conflicting groups of my nation. And that's what Al-Hasan did. So there's no more reason for the word Shi'ism after that. Finish. The two groups became as one group. Khalas. But we know well that politicians have some fruits, some benefits of the political occurrences. They were not happy with that. They wanted to keep those cults in order to maintain lively things for themselves. That's why we had those As-Saba'iyya who follow Abdullah bin Saba as a Yemeni person, a Jewish Yemeni, who pretended to be a Muslim, and he started to play his Jewish role inside the Muslim world. And he said that the imamah should be for Ahlul Bayt, and he was exaggerating regarding Ali radiallahu anhu. He used to be saying to him, about him, that he is a significant person. He's not only human. When we hear the thunder, it's his voice. The thunder is his voice, etc., etc. He caused this extremism, and he revived the concept of Shi'ism as we see it nowadays. And the worst thing happened also when Al-Hussein radiallahu anhu came to Kufa to correct some problems, political problems, some oppression that is occurring in Al-Kufa. But it seems that it didn't work out, because those who invited him and gave him the pledge that they're going to support him, they embarrassed him and they disappointed him. Not only that, they were those who killed him. And now they're shedding tears for him. They killed him. And we started to have this Shi'ism again after that. So this is how it began. Between Ali and Muawiyah, finish. Al-Hasan had finalized everything. So there was no more two groups. But it started by political conspiracies, by the killers of Uthman, who cooperated with the followers of Abdullah bin Saba, the Jewish guy. They both started to cooperate and make rumors and seek to kindle fire in the nation.
جزاك الله خيرا. شيخنا, did Shia, why Shia is choosing Ali over Abu Bakr and Umar, and reason why?
Why do they prefer Ali over Abu Bakr and Umar? Yeah. Well, this is wrong, because Ali himself said, إن خير هذه الأمة بعد نبيها أبو بكر. That's what Ali said. In another narration, which is authentic, Muhammad ibn Sayyidina Ali, they call him Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, the son of Ali. He came to his father and said to him, "My father, who is the best after Rasulullah?" He said, "Abu Bakr." He said, "Then who's after that?" He said, "Umar." Muhammad said, "I was afraid that I may ask him who's then the next, then he may say to me, Uthman." Then I had to ask him this question in this way. "And the third is you?" He said, "No." No, he didn't say no. He said, "I am nothing but one of the Muslims. I'm nothing but one of the Muslims." So it's so clear here, obvious, that Ali is saying Abu Bakr is the best and Umar is after him. When Umar was laying down, about to die, Ibn Abbas was standing at him, and he realized that someone put his hand on his shoulder. He turned and recognized Ali. That was Ali. And Ali started to speak to Umar. And Umar was on his way to death. Maybe he also died. I think he died. He said, "I don't wish that I meet Allah with the good deeds of anyone but the good deeds of Umar. Yani, I wish that I have the big amount of your good deeds, O Umar, so I can meet Allah proudly with these good deeds that you have, O Umar. And I think that Allah will let you be buried with your two companions." That means the Prophet and Abu Bakr. "For I often used to hear the Prophet saying, I came with Abu Bakr and Umar, and I went with Abu Bakr and Umar." So who's now suggesting Umar to be buried beside the Prophet? That was Ali. It was Ali himself who suggested that. So those who say that Ali was struggling against Abu Bakr and Umar, he believed that the leadership is for him rather than Abu Bakr and Umar, they're making a lie. Ali's disagreement, there was a disagreement between Ali and Abu Bakr and Umar, was about the land that the Prophet left, and that is the land of Fadak, okay, which the Prophet did not take it for himself. He made it as waqf. You know the meaning of waqf. And it contained many kind of usage. Part of it, he dedicated it as a support supply for his wives. Second part of it, it was dedicated for those general poor people and masakin. Third, especially for the family of Aqil and Hashim and etc., those close relatives ones to the Prophet who are not married and not capable to be married. Then the Prophet said, that's the third part, especially for those who are not able for marriage. Let a part of this land goes to their support to marry. And one small section of that is dedicated for those who work on it. Because working on that, okay, to manage the land, those also were given a share. That's what the Prophet decided. A share for that. So Ali's disagreement, it happened about this case. Should the family of the Prophet inherit the land or not? Abu Bakr said to her, no. To Fatima. Why? Because the Prophet said, we, the Prophets, should not be inherited. What we leave is knowledge. So the best inheritors for us are the scholars, not our families. And that case was ended, finished. So I did not see at all any support or evidence for the claim that they give that Ali deserves to be the leader before Abu Bakr and Umar. No. By the way, Ali gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. So why did he do that if he knows that he deserves it more than them? The Shia, they say two things. Sometimes they say he was forced, but they could not support it. And also it contradicts their belief in Ali that he is very brave. And how come Ali remains forced for 25 years during the caliphate of Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman all the time? He could not find any supporter for him. And they give him superpower. How they claim that he has superpower, but at the same time he remained, what, 25 years forced? If we say he was forced, there are things that people get surprised to know, that Ali has 3 sons. One of them's name is Abu Bakr, the second one is Umar, the third one is Uthman. So if he was forced by them, that means he should at least hate them. He has a problem with them. Why he has to call his 3 sons within the names of those 3 caliphates who forced him to give them bay'ah? And by the way, Ali granted Kulthum, his daughter, to be the wife of Umar. Are you going to tell me that he was also forced? I mean, would you accept anyone to force you, to tell you you must let me marry your daughter, and you give your daughter to him because it's a matter of rape? Because we know that any kind of marriage by force, the marriage does not take place. That's why they had to say to you, no, he was not forced, but he was maintaining the soundness of the ummah. MashaAllah. Okay, so that is a confession that the ummah was in its best circumstances at the lifetime of Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, and that's why Ali gave them bay'ah. So it is not true to say that Ali was forced or he deserves to be the leader, because Ali will be answering you, saying to you, I gave them bay'ah. And by the way, Ali was known significantly to be a great, brave person. How can a person allow you to take his daughter by force, and to let you, and to be for 25 years giving bay'ah by force? That is in itself an insult against Ali. So there are many things I can prove that those people, at the time while they're claiming that they praise Ali, in fact they are insulting him by giving contradictory and very weak evidences that renders to the insulting of Ali rather than praising Ali.
فيك بركة. Shaykhana, what's the difference between Shia and Sunnah in order to understand the people? I mean, the people, they see that all are Muslims, and distinguishing between them and saying sectors like Shia and shouldn't be there. And as well, some people suggested that is something has been politicized long time, starting from Ali and Muawiyah up to now. So is there any chance one day in the future that Shia and Sunni will come together?
I would love always to be optimistic, but I'm not optimistic regarding this, and I think it's a dream that it will not take place. It's not because us, it's because of them. Because the first disagreement between us and the Shia is the shirk. The Shia today they don't supervise Mecca and Medina. And they don't deserve to supervise Mecca and Medina, because what they have is shirk. I mean, I imagine if Mecca and Medina became under their control, then Tawheed will be vanishing. Because even in the Hajj, when they go and make talbiyah, the talbiyah is not labbaik Allahumma labbaik, it's labbaik ya Hussein. Labbaik ya Hussein, always labbaik ya Hussein, labbaik ya Hussein. What? I mean, was it Hussein who issued the matter of pilgrimage to you? So, I don't believe that there will be a unity between both, because there are deep injuries. One of the deep injuries is the Tawheed and Shirk. If Tawheed and Shirk become one, if you try to unite between Tawheed and Shirk, then you'll be able to unite between Shiism and Sunni. and Sunnis, because the Shia say, "Oh Ali, help me. Oh Fatima, help me." Even in their wars in Syria now, you can see them. They're saying, "Ya Zainab, Ya Ali, Ya Hussein." Where's Ya Allah? While the layman Syrian people, they keep saying, "Ya Allah, ma ilna ghayrak." Oh Allah, we have no one but you to help. So this is the first disagreement between us and the Shia. Shirk. Say Ya Ali. As we don't allow Christians to say, "Oh Jesus," or Mary, we also don't allow those people to say, "Oh Ali," or Hussein. Because they should be calling Allah only for their need. So that's the first disagreement. The second problem is that they say that believing that Ali should be the leader before Abu Bakr and Umar is a matter of doctrine. And those who disagree with us, we can't take them as our brothers in faith. And that's what Khomeini said in his book Al-Arba'una Hadithan, under the title of Significance of Ahlul Bayt, or etc. He said, we don't call those people believers because wilayah to Ahlul Bayt is the pillar of belief. To give your loyalty to Ahlul Bayt, that they deserve to be the leaders, is the pillar of faith. For those who do not believe it that way, then they're not believers. So the matter of shirk is the worst thing. There are many other things, disagreements, such as mit'ah, temporary marriage. I don't know, if you have a daughter, you won't be thinking about becoming Shiite, so anyone may come and say, "Can I have your daughter for 1 month, or 1 week, or 1 day, or even 1 hour?" You wouldn't be accepting it, but they accept it. They accept it. So how can a Sunni say, "I want to become a Shia"? And they say, by the way, that the nature of Shi'ism, the dust, the original dust of Shia, it's been picked by beneath of the throne by Jibreel. So the Muhammad and his family and the Shia who follow them, they belong to different type of creation other than the type of the Sunni Muslims. And we've been cornering them by this question: what if a Sunni becomes Shia? What's going to happen? His nature, he was already being originated by his Sunni father and mother, whose nature is different than the Shiite nature. So how can you convert? Is there any hospital that can process this kind of conversion between the dust of Sunnis and the dust of the Shiites? This is racism in itself. So therefore, the other thing is, which is very important, and it is the secret why those people would never come to the truth, and that is khums. Khums means 25% of what you have, or 20%. 20% of anything you have. We're not talking about the profit you have, the income. No, we're talking about everything you have, even spoons in your house, even small perfume in your pocket. You have to pay khums for everything you have. That means 20%, which is much greater than the zakah. The zakah is 2.5 for a certain amount for the whole year you did not use. But those people, no, they say 20%, not only when you have a certain amount of money. No. Everything you have, even your car, your perfume, everything. And they say to you, if you're going to go to Hajj, your Hajj will not be accepted until you pay the khums. So that is the secret behind maintaining that false cult and fighting for it, because it has a lively economical income, which sometimes I would say it's more beneficial than the oil. So how would you think that there will be a reconciliation between Shia and Sunnah? I don't think so.
In regarding in your answer now, you mentioned it that Shia has problem. First problem is the shirk. We cannot unite whatsoever. But as we can say Shia are kuffar, non-believers. We can describe like that.
Okay.
Because many people are asking that question themselves and they are confused. So they want.
First, I wouldn't agree that this question should be addressed. Always. Why? Because you are people of da'wah. Okay? We should not be involving or saying something that may spoil this da'wah to them. Okay? Despite the fact that first we would like to ask, their cult is a cult of belief or kufr? This is a very important question. They have shirk, and they say the Quran was changed. Okay? They say that the verses of the Quran are 17,000 ayah. The available Quran nowadays is 6,000 and something like 200 ayah. So that means they're supposed to be 11,800 extra ayah. Where are they? Where did they go? The Shia say to you that Abu Bakr and Umar changed the Quran. Okay, Abu Bakr and Umar changed the Quran. So they're not Muslims, they're kafir. And they say they are kafir, Abu Bakr and Umar. If they are kafir, that means, and they changed the Quran, that means if a Christian came to you and he said, oh, I'm fed up with my changed book, the Bible. I'm coming to you, Muslim guys. I want to follow the Quran. Is the Quran changed? If you go to the Shia, they'll tell him, yes, the Quran is changed. So how come? So the Christian will be saying, so why do I have to leave the changed Bible to come to a changed Quran? So forget about both. This is how those people, in fact, they have many kinds of negativeness that will discourage non-Muslim from becoming Muslim, such as Ashura, beating themselves, bleeding. Shouldn't they be donating some of this blood for the sick people who have they're in desperate need for that, I should say. They don't do that, but they shed their own blood, okay? And that's very valuable to the Shia supervisors, because it will guarantee the fanaticism within the souls of the layman people. Yeah, I hope you understand that. They want this. If they want, they can stop it, but they don't want to stop it. And the non-Muslims, the supervisor non-Muslims, okay, they are benefited with this, because they say to their layman people, why do you have to become Muslim? Are you going to be like those people? Look what they do. So their belief, their activities, always discourage the non-Muslims who's observing them from distance. He will be saying that this is not the true religion. So therefore, we know that they say La ilaha illallah. But La ilaha illallah has conditions, as the prayer has conditions, okay? If you want to pray, the condition of prayer is to have wudu. And if you don't perform wudu, and people know that you did not have wudu, and you're praying, they're not gonna pray behind you, because they know you're playing. And in Allah's perspective, you're playing. You're not praying, you're playing. Why? Because you did not implement the condition of prayer, and that is to perform wudu. Likewise is the matter of La ilaha illallah. Allah doesn't care about those who say La ilaha illallah while they are breaking its conditions. As Allah does not accept the prayer, the conditional wudu for the prayer, okay, so if you don't have wudu, your prayer is not accepted. Even so, likewise are those who say La ilaha illallah, but they contradict the conditions of La ilaha illallah. Because the conditions of La ilaha illallah can be symbolized with this thing that we say every day in our prayer. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It is you only whom we worship, and from you only we seek help. From you only. In the book Al-Kafi, the first volume, there's a narration that when you are in your sujood, keep saying, Ya Muhammad ya Jibreel, Ya Muhammad ya Jibreel, انصراني فأنتما ناصراي, اكفياني ما أنا فيه فإنكما كافياي. And you keep saying that حتى ينقطع النفس. You keep saying it, repeating it, until your breath will be cut off. How come while you're standing you say إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, and when you make sujood you keep asking the Prophet Muhammad and Jibreel? That doesn't make sense. So their religion is based on shirk.
So we shouldn't say that, as long as they say La ilaha illallah, we don't say they are kafir.
Their religion is kufr. There's no doubt.
Okay.
But you cannot say about anyone that he's totally Muslim until you verify, because basically he's following a religion that is saying the Quran is changed. Now this layman person here is going to say, well, I don't believe it. I'm a Shia and I don't believe it. Is that right? Yeah. And we have some Christians who say, I am Christian and I don't believe in the Trinity. Okay? And to me, saying that the book of Allah is changed has no difference. Okay, if we compare it to those who believe in the Trinity, both are matter of kufr. Both are matters of kufr. So I don't believe. So, but there is a problem here, slight problem. That there are people who may say La ilaha illallah and they don't know all of those aspects of shirk. Now for those people, we say we don't have the scale, Richter scale. Richter scale.
Yeah.
We don't have Richter scale. We cannot examine people's inner. We can't. So these things, Allah will not blame us if we say that this cult is kafir, but Allah knows best who may be exempted from that.
Very clear. Yeah, Sheikh, some people are suggested that they are more dangerous than Jews and Christian. What view about it? What do you view?
They are more dangerous because they are sticking to the ummah from inside, while the outsiders, the non-Muslims, cannot get inside, except through people like those. That's what makes them more dangerous. But to say they are more dangerous doesn't mean that they are more kafir than those who say the Trinity. No, because as belief varies, it has many levels.
Yeah.
Kufr is also many levels. Okay, so saying that they are more dangerous, it doesn't mean that necessarily, it doesn't mean necessarily that they are more kafir. No.
Very clear. Shaykhana, how we can deal with them? The dangers of Shia and it is spreading in the world.
Also, if you realize what's happening in Syria nowadays, and they see how they kill, the mass killing they cause there, I would be saying that it seems to me that those non-Muslims are more merciful than those people. I mean, you see what they're doing there. They're killing, they're cutting, they're beheading. They're using new kind of bombings, new style of killing. They have no mercy. They've been surrounding Al Yarmouk camp, and you can see people now. The person he weighs maybe 15 kilos. The whole person. They have skins, only skin. And the lack of energy had absorbed every kind of energy from their body, that they became skin and bone. That's all. In many campaigns, they've been killing thousands of children and women. They have barrel bombings. They threw it from helicopters, and they almost destroyed the whole country with those barrels. So I would say that those people are more dangerous because they are more criminals, more cruels than any kind of what do you call it? Brutality of other people. The brutality I can see with those people is ever worse. And this century had never witnessed any similar mass killing just like what we see today in Syria. So how can we take them as Muslims? We can't. And a matter of fact, one of the people of Alawis here, he is the head of Alawis here in London. He admitted that we're not Muslims. He is a special kind of Shiism, Nusayri, Alawi. He was making his confession that we're not Muslims. We are not part of the Muslim Ummah. We don't want this Islam. And their life is a very filthy life. Drinking, mostly drinking. And cursing Allah. Even if they joke, they curse Allah. They know two things only. Drinking, fornicating. That's all. And not only fornicating women, even with the boys. They're very bad in this. Very bad in this. So, I mean, those people will increase the weakness and the separation of the Ummah, by the way. Look, when the hypocrites at the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ, they departed themselves and said, we're going back to Medina. We don't realize it doesn't seem to be any kind of fight, we're getting back. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that it is Allah who lagged them behind. Because if they remained among you, O Muslims, they will increase you nothing but corruption and discouragement. So this is the fact about those people.
But what about their spreading? I mean, now, many countries now, in Islamic countries, Sunni countries, they are spreading inside the people. They use money, incentives, or they spread in
or they cooperate with the Americans and the Israelites.
Yes.
That's what they're doing.
Yes, another means, yeah.
I mean, imagine when Najad came to Egypt,
Yeah.
and he offered $30 billion as a support for the country,
Yes.
for Egypt.
Yes.
And he put conditions. The man is not doing something just because he fears Allah. No. One of the conditions that we take thousands of Egyptians and take them to Iran to study Shiism there. And they will be supervising the shrines, the Shia shrines in Egypt. And that means spreading Shiism. So where do they get this money from? And how they look at the contract, the contents of the contracts, which means as if they're saying we want Egypt back, because they used to be ruling Egypt in 450 Hijri era. They used to be dominating Egypt. And Salah ad-Din, who was a great man, hero, he drove them out and he defeated them. So now they feel that they want to retaliate. They want to get back to Egypt. Egypt used to be under their control, and now they lost it. Okay, so they spread themselves only by deals with the West, and we can see that today. Now we are not deceived by their words. You know what they say? Al-Maut li-Israel, Al-Maut li-America, death is for America. These rubber kind of words, they're finished. And people are fed up with it, and they know now that it's a matter of lie. There's a clear understanding and negotiations behind the curtains, always between the Americans and the Iranians.
As sources says that Shia even tries to help the people of jihadism, like Al-Shabaab in Somalia. What do you think?
Well, I know that Iran was supporting these kinds of movements because they know that those people will be creating big trouble in their countries to destroy the country under the banner of La ilaha illallah. And I feel pity for Somalia. people are very nice, really very kind. You love to live with them, very peaceful. But where do those efforts come from? Through these Shabab people. And how they can take this decision to make a mass killing for thousands of people. And they feel that this is driving them closer to Allah. Who's behind that? Do you think that this is a personal support by themselves? No. That's why we know that Iran hosted bin Laden, his family, for a long time, for 13 continuous years. Hosting them for what? Welcoming those jihadis who come from Afghanistan, giving them shelter and logistic support. We know that. There are many evidences. And many who used to be, even in Iran, they came to Saudi Arabia and they had to give their confession that, yes, this is what happened. So there is encouragement for these kinds of jihadis, because those kinds of jihadis, if the Sunni leaders would not comply to Shi'ism, then they'll be utilizing those kinds of people as a threat to them. And those people, the layman people of those jihadis, they are poor people. They have no knowledge, but they have excessive emotion for Islam. We should not say, we know that those leaders of Al-Qaeda, they are hacked. They are hacked by the Westerners, by the outsiders. They are hacked. Okay? That's why when we talk about the Qaeda being hacked by the Iranians, by the Westerners, it doesn't mean that this includes everybody, the layman people there. No. There are people with good intention. But the problem is, they will be blamed at the Day of Judgment that they did not seek the good banner for themselves. And when they say to them even, Yalla, commit suicide, kill yourselves, okay, bring bomb cars and bomb yourself in it. They say, oh, we do it for the sake of Allah, against those murtaddeen, against those kuffar, etc., etc. Poor people. The Prophet said, ﷺ, that if a person killed himself by a piece of metal, his piece of metal will be in his hand at the Day of Judgment, hitting himself with it. But there is no end for that. For ages. When, Allahu A'lam, we don't believe that even the one who committed suicide, we don't believe that he'll be Khalid, forever with Abu Jahl and his wife. No. But this is a big sin. Don't tell me, oh, people of jihad, don't tell me that, oh, at the Day of Judgment, I'm going to say, oh God, I was mistaken. Bring me back to life so I can make a correct jihad. No, it's only one time you die. So you have to make sure that you die on the right way and you choose for you the best death, because you regret at the Day of Judgment. Okay? So therefore, I say, yes, I believe that this kind of jihad had gone wrong and was invested politically by a dirty deal between Iran and the West.
Okay, Sheikh, what's the Muslims believe other Sahabas? I mean, Shia, as we know, they're degrading some Sahabas, as you mentioned it now, like Abu Bakr and Umar. What is our belief as a Muslim toward this Sahaba companion?
Number one, we should not accept any narration, but it should be authentic, because those Shia had spreaded millions of false narrations. And my PhD is on that. It's specified on the doubts of fabricated hadith, weak hadith that they support. They always generate, they are generators of false hadith. Therefore, first, we should not accept anything but authentic. Because there are hadith that support the disagreement between Ali and Abu Bakr, and they were even insulting one another, etc., etc., etc. These are lies. And we proved that they're lies. Why they're lies? Why those are lies? The other thing is, so first we should look at the narration itself. Second, should we confess that there was a disagreement? Yes, but not, as I mentioned before, it's not about who's the leader. No way. Then this disagreement was solved. When Fatima came seeking the inheritance, and Abu Bakr replied and said, no inheritance, because the prophets should not be inherited. When the Ansar came after the Prophet's death, and they started to negotiate with the Muhajirin, they said, a leader from us and a leader from you. Then Abu Bakr corrected them. And he said, نحن الأمراء, we are the leaders, وأنتم الوزراء, you are the ministers. Because the Prophet recommended to us, or he left his will to us, that we should be taking care of Al-Ansar. We should be taking care of, when the Prophet said to us, you should take care of Al-Ansar, that means Al-Ansar are not the leaders, but they can be the ministers. And the Prophet said that this matter of leadership should remain with Quraysh. That's Allah's will. The leaders are from Quraysh. So that problem was also solved. Okay. Now, what is our task regarding this disagreement? Was there disagreement? Yes, it happened between Ali and Muawiyah, for sure. That happened. We agree. But there was a sort of mercy that they dealt between one another even when they fought. For example, if there's a war between us and the non-Muslims, we'll bring those people, okay, we'll fight beside them, side by side, against the enemy. When the Sahaba, they confronted one another, Ali said that if one of those people, now first they're not our enemies, they're opponents in their ideology or perspective. If they run away, you should not be chasing them. If they left some spoils, you should not spoil it, as we do with the non-Muslims. Okay? If you have a prisoner of war, you should never beat him or degrade him or abuse him or torture him. That is not allowed. So they had strict orders in terms of the fight that occurs between them. And that is a sort of mercy, even that we can grab, despite this fight, we can grab between the companions a sort of mercy between one another in dealing not only in terms of peace, but even in terms of fight. Now, so that's very clear. The other thing, the last thing, is that our task, when we disagree, when they disagreed against one another, sometimes, maybe, I say, sometimes one of them spoke ill against the other. And we know that the Prophet said, من سب أصحابي فعليه لعنة الله والملائكة والناس أجمعين. Whoever insulted my companions, may the curse of Allah be upon him, and the curse of the angels, and the curse of all people. Okay? Because whatever you give for Islam, you have not given, okay, maybe 1% of what they have given. They sacrificed their life and their property for Islam, for the sake of Allah. So, first we should praise those whom Allah praised. Al-Muhajirin. للفقراء المهاجرين الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم وأموالهم يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانه وينصرون الله ورسوله أولئك هم الصادقون. Allah is saying about the Muhajirin, the immigrants, those are the truthful. But regretfully, the Shia don't give the same testimony. They say, those are the liars, those are the kuffar. It continues. وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ. As for those who came after them, that means the Ansar. يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ. They love those who came, immigrated to them. وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ حَاجَةً مِمَّا أُوتُوا. They don't keep in their hearts anything against them. Even their wealth, their money, they became partners with them in their houses and in their wives. I mean, Abdurrahman bin Auf, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set brotherhood between him and one of the people of Medina, what did that man say to him? He said, I have many wives. I want you to look at each one of them and to choose what is more desirable to you, and I'll divorce her for you. Who can do that today? And this is my house. I'll divide it and we'll be partners in the house. Who can do that today, this day? No one can do that. Why? Because they know the price. They're business people. They mean business. They know that Allah is preparing for them something ever greater. Cannot be compared to all what they have in life. They sold themselves for Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُم بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. طيب. Now the verse still continue. وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ. As for those who came after those two people, Muhajirin and Ansar, يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا الَّذِينَ سَبَقُونَا بِالْإِيمَانِ. Oh Allah, forgive us and grant your forgiveness for those who preceded us in Iman. وَلَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And do not let be any kind of rancor or hatred against those who preceded us in Iman. That's your task. But some Shia say, not some of them, all of them, they say that, okay, if you say that whoever insulted my companions, he is cursed. Are you okay with that? I say, yes, I'm okay. They say, okay, this companion had insulted that companion. For example, like Buraidah. One of the companions, he had some hatred against Ali because of certain it's not a hatred of deen. It's because something happened between them. It's not a hatred of deen. Just like the hatred of deen that the Shia have against Abu Bakr and Umar. It's a hatred of deen, of religion. So one of those said to me, what about this now? Are you going to insult this companion? I say, no. He said, but the Prophet said to you, you should curse him. Anyone insult one of the companions, you should curse him. What about this companion who insulted that companion? What do you say about him? I said, I don't curse him. He said, now you opposed what the Prophet said. I said, no, I did not. Why? I said, because I respect both of them. And I should be taking the same position of respecting, because the Prophet said that because he wants us to respect the companions. Now you're contradicting yourself. You want me to curse one of them. How come? So he said, okay, so what is your perspective? I said, listen to me. Do you have a father and mother? He said, yes. I said, if anyone insulted your mom, do you curse him? He said, yes, sure. I said, what if it was your father? Do you curse your father if he cursed your mom? He said, no. I said, why? He said, because I respect him. I said, thank you. That's what I do to the companions. That's what I do. So this is what Allah ordered us to take, this kind of position. As for those who came after them, they say, oh Allah, grant us forgiveness and forgiveness to those who preceded us in Iman. And do not let any space of rancor and hatred and resentment in our hearts against those who preceded us in Iman. That's all.
Jazakallahu khairan. This is a great opportunity to have in this program, to be honest. And in order to benefit it, I would like to ask you, the question is related for doubtful that they made all the time, or the wrong way of interpretation they do for the Shia. For example, إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. That ayah, they describe it differently. What do you see?
Yeah, Allah said to Ibrahim alayhi, I am setting you to be an imam. And the Shia, they say this is the best, our concrete first evidence. but this evidence, this evidence is very weak. Sometimes they bring, I mean, supposedly the evidence being brought from Quran should be strong. So the evidence is strong in itself, but using it in this position is not only weak, it's nothing. Why? Because Allah is using Ibrahim as a model of faith. Because Ibrahim did not become leader. He did not lead. He did not become king. So, and the verse doesn't contradict itself. So Allah made him imam. There's something we call imamatu huda. As Allah said in another ayah, نعم وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا. We made them imams, guiding by our command when they were patient. So what is the imamah here? Huh? What is the imam? Imamah means the leadership of guidance. They became the best model. That's why even, I mean, I was here, I had a conference, a meeting with Christian priests and rabbis. In fact, he was only one rabbi. That was in Edinburgh. And they were saying always, and I said to them, we all agree that Ibrahim is a model of faith, is a person of pure faith. Is that right? They all said that's true. We agree on that. That's why they try to call the three religions as one. They call it Abrahamic faith. Why? Because they believe that Ibrahim is a man of... So that shows, this is the fulfillment of the ayah. Allah said, I'm making you a leader. So the Prophet said, Ibrahim, he said, وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي, what about my descendants? He said, my covenant does not include the wrongdoers. So among the sons of Ibrahim, there are people who will be wrongdoers, according to this ayah. There's another ayah. وَبَارَكْنَا عَلَيْهِ وَعَلَى إِسْحَاقٍ وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِهِمَا مُحْسِنٌ وَظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ مُبِينٌ. And among the offspring of Ibrahim and Ishaq, Isaac, as they say in English, okay, there are people who are good, and among them are also wrongdoers. But this is not what the Shia believe. They believe that all the children of Ibrahim, they are infallible. That means they are sinless. All, not some, but the Quran is making it clear here. Some are good doers and some are wrongdoers. So the ayah is not for them, the ayah is against them. Okay? Why? Because Sayyidina Ibrahim, was he a leader of guidance? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Was he a prophet? Yes. Was he Khalilullah? Yes. Was he Imam? Look at the contradiction. The Shia believe that Ali is better than all the prophets except Muhammad. If they're using that ayah, okay, as an evidence of leadership, so Allah said to Ibrahim that I'm going to make you an Imam. So why do they say Ali as Imam is better than the prophets? Because leadership, imamate, is better than prophethood. So why do you prefer Ali over Ibrahim? Ibrahim has already the imama, as the ayah, okay, indicates, and the prophethood, and Khalil. Khalil means the closest, special, significant kind of friendship. So Ali has only Imam, okay, while Ibrahim has two extra things. Why do you prefer Ali over Ibrahim?
In order to benefit the time is running out. Sheikh, there is another ayah. They, describing differently than the other people. إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. This ayah, they make special for Ali, radiallahu anhu, and the imama. What do you think?
Is that what you say? You have to understand that those Shia are bringing vague and ambiguous evidences. There's nothing clear here. And they say that, by the way, that imama is the pillar of Islam. So if Allah wants something to be a pillar of Islam, He'll be mentioning it clearly, not ambiguously. Where is the clear evidence about Ali or the family of the Prophet being the imams? Where is it? Nothing. But they say that wali means imam. Innama waliyukum Allah. That means your imam is. Oh my goodness. How can someone believe that Allah is imam? How can you believe that Allah's imam is one of the attributes and names of Allah among His beautiful names, Asma' Husna? Is one of His names imam? So if Allah wants to tell you that if Allah wants this to be evidence for the imamah of Ali, why He included Himself as imam? Allah is talking about loyalty and support. Now, why they use this ayah? This is the point. They say that when this verse was revealed, it was revealed with for the honor of Ali, because once he was making ruku', and an old man entered the mosque, and he said, "I need money. I'm poor." Then Ali took from his pocket some money. Sorry, not money. His ring. He had a valuable ring. He took it out while he's praying, and he gave it to the poor man. And Allah praised him because of that. Now, there are many narrations about that, but all of them are weak. As Ibn Kathir and many other scholars, they said, all of the narrations are weak. Very weak, extremely weak. So they don't trace to be a support for this. That's number one. Second, they say that they were praising Ali, saying that he was very poor. He doesn't care about life. He has no money. He was poor. So if he was poor, how come he gives the zakah while he's poor? The other thing, the ayah is saying that they give zakah while they are making ruku'. But not only that. Look what the ayah says. الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. That means they established, according to their understanding, that means they established the prayer while they're making ruku'. That means they should be starting the prayer like this. Okay, they want to pray dhuhr. Okay? So they يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. They don't establish the prayer while they're standing, but they establish the prayer while they're making ruku'. This is a stupid kind of interpreting of this ayah. Did you understand it?
Yes.
The ayah doesn't say only those who give charity while they're making ruku'. No. It's saying they are establishing the prayer and giving charity. But the ayah means, and they are raki'un, they are always rukka' sujjad. That is their attitude. They keep making ruku' and sujood. They are people of ruku'. It doesn't mean that they give zakah while they're making ruku'. Hello. It's very beautiful, mashallah. I mean, do the Shia themselves fulfill that in the mosque? Okay, now we want to give zakah. Are you ready? Let's pray. Allahu Akbar. Yalla, give this. Pass it to that one. Pass it. Do they do that?
No.
So that means they're playing games with the ayat. This is the same tahrif of the Jews. They're twisting the ayat as the Jews used to be twisting the revelation of Torah.
What about the hadith that says أنت مني بمنزلة موسى وهارون إلا أنه
أنت مني بمنزلة هارون من موسى.
هارون من موسى أيوة إلا إنه لا ولي نبي بعدي.
إلا أنه لا نبي بعدي. This is their utmost strong concrete evidence, and it can be easily demolished. How? They're telling you, since the Prophet said that you are to me with the same rank of Harun to Musa. You are to me just like the high rank or the closeness between Harun and Musa. But there's no prophet after me. Now the Shia say, Since there's no prophet after him, that means Ali should be the leader. Okay? So they have the same level. Close. Ready?
Yes.
Prepare for the shock. The Shia confessed in their books, Al-Kafi and others, that Harun died before Musa. So the Prophet did, if the Prophet meant by this the leadership, how can he use that as an example or as an evidence, while the Prophet should know that Harun died before Musa? So what is then the disclosed? What is the secret of that? What did the Prophet want to say? The Prophet wanted to say that Ali is a brother of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in faith, and his wazir, his minister. As Allah said in the Quran, Haruna akhi ushdud bihi azri wa ashrikhu fi amri. Okay? Ashrikhu fi amri, that means he'll be my partner in this issue because he's prophet. Okay? So there's no place for prophethood. What will be remaining? Huh? Ushdud bihi azri. And he's my brother in faith. Thank you very much. So where's the evidence they're using? Okay? And plus, Ali did not use these as evidences to show his priority over Abu Bakr and Umar. Why didn't he use these hadith? He never did.
We come on conclusion of this program. Sheikh, I would like the program's name is Ad-Dinu Nasiha. So I would like to give us your nasiha, your advice about this topic and general advice.
I would advise the Muslims to be very careful in dealing with those Shia, because those Shia's enmity is now so clear to be worse than the enmity of other people. The enmity of the West today is based on their ambition to get our resources. But the enmity of the Shia is something else. His hatred is based on their belief that they are special people of Allah, that they are following Ahlul Bayt while we are the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. That's why they are spoiling, causing destruction in the Ummah more ever than what the non-Muslims can do. So we have to be very careful. We have to learn the knowledge, because now they are, what you mentioned, those 2-3 doubts that they have are nothing compared to what I know about their doubts and how to be refuted. Walillah alhamd. As I told you, I have a book that refutes all of their doubts. It's about 4,000 pages now. And it's going to be published, inshallah, very soon. They have a lot of doubts. And knowledge will be always the solution and the way out from those fitan, tribulations. We are not immunized from these trials and tribulations because of the lack of knowledge, or let me say it, ignorance, I should say. Don't tell me that the knowledge is something optional. It is obligatory, as the Prophet said. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم ومسلمة. Seeking knowledge is a matter of obligation over every Muslim male and Muslim female. You are obliged to learn the knowledge. Once you learn the knowledge, you have the immunity. You are immunized. Yes. Okay? So therefore, I advise the people, when they want to discuss with the Shia, to have knowledge at least, because the Shia are programmed since they were born. You don't know what happened with them in their houses. They wash brain their children. They grow. They discipline them. Okay, they let them grow not only with the milk. They don't give them the milk, but they give them the doubts. They have something like 20 doubts that they raise them with, and they keep confronting the Sunni Muslims with those doubts that they remember from their youth. Unfortunately, we don't raise our children with with basic doctrines and beliefs. There's a lack of that. So therefore, I advise you to learn. The more knowledge we get, the less the fitna will remain. If we have more and more knowledge, the fitna will vanish.
جزاك الله خيرا Sheikh Abdurrahman Dimashqiah. This is really is great opportunity, and I will appreciate it. And inshallah,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, and inshallah we'll have other programs and other topics inshallah soon. daawadayaal waxaa intaa noogu dhammaaday barnaamijkeenii addiinu nasiixa. barnaamijka maanta wuxuu ku baxaya luqadda ingiriiska, waxaana igala qayb qaatay sheekh cabdiraxmaan dimashqiya oo ah sheekh maaragtaa aad iyo aad dacwada u fidiya dhammaan yurub iyo maaragtaa iyo middle eastiba. waxaan rajaynayaa inaan dhowaan sheekha programyo kale noogu yimaado insha allah. waxaa idinla socodsiinaya programkan anigoo cabdiraxmaan maxamed jaamac gacal. waxaan idinkaga tegayaa cabsida ilaahay. barnaamijkan waxaa mar walba diyaariya oo soo maaragtaa facilitate gareeya masjid risaala. waxaan idinkaga tegayaa cabsida ilaahay. jazaakum allahu khayran. wassalaamu calaykum waraxmat ullahi wabarakaatu.
حلقات العودة بستان يتنزه فيه الوجدان، حلقات تخرج أجيالا تتباهى بهم الأزمان. حلقات العودة بستان يتنزه فيه الوجدان، حلقات تخرج أجيالا تتباهى بهم الأزمان.